really with the ending of the crypto hostility we've seen out of Washington for the last 4 years, and really a policy-led rebirth of this industry, the excitement is palatable. We are going to have stable coins. We are going to have dollar-based, yen-based, euro-based, pound-based. We are going to have a CBDC. We're going to have a digital euro, a digital yen. We may have others. We're going to have tokenized deposits. So the future is going to be all the above. I think we're in one of the most exciting times, and I think this period is going to run for quite some time before we may see some consolidation take place. The United States needs to see more demand for U.S. Treasuries, and stablecoins, they're estimating, could hold anywhere as much as $4 to $6 trillion of U.S. Treasuries in the next several years.
You would think that the tax bill would be passed first because the government wants to get that money.
Right. You would think so. But you know what? Our government depends more on debt issuance than it does on tax collection. The CFTC was the innovator in the digital space amongst America's alphabet soup of agencies, and we don't want to lose that innovative edge. But to unseat a reserve currency, you've got to replace it with something. And so far, the world hasn't found something to replace the dollar with. Certainly the BRICS nations, BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, have proposed a rival currency. And what are the role that important digital assets like XRP and like stablecoins based on XRP can do to enhance that?
Hey, what's going on, family and friends? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm honored to bring you an exclusive conversation from XRP Las Vegas 2025, the world's largest XRP conference. I'm joined by none other than Giancarlo, the former CFTC Chairman, best known as Crypto Dad, author of The Crypto Dad, and co-founder of the Digital Dollar Project. In this powerful conversation, we dive into the future of stablecoins, the evolution of the XRP ledger, and the global role of the US dollar in an increasingly tokenized economy. We also explore the Genius Act and upcoming crypto regulations, the role of the CFTC versus SEC in the future of digital assets, how blockchain and tokenized finance are reshaping TradFi. This is a must-watch for anyone navigating the convergence of policy, crypto, and innovation. So thanks for tuning in. Love you mucho. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here day one at the XRP Las Vegas conference, the largest XRP conference in the world. And I've got Giancarlo, the former CFTC chairman, the author of the Digital Dollar Project.
Author of Crypto Dad, the fight for the future of money.
D for all of the above. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Ray. Good to be with you.
No, it's
good to be with you again.
Yes,
we've done this before.
We have. I'm getting deja vu, but except this time we're a little bit older.
You are. Maybe I stay young all the time. I got a young wife. She keeps me young.
Yes,
so.
You do. She's a very lovely wife, most definitely. Now, thank you for sharing your time with me, sir. I know you're going to be hopping up on stage in just a moment, so we'll keep this short and sweet. What are your thoughts being here at the XRP Las Vegas conference, where it's the intersection of, or the evolution, I'd say, of blockchain and software solutions, distributed ledger technologies? What are you thinking about being here?
Well, first of all, what a great gathering. And this year, the buzz and the attendance is tremendous. I think that really with the ending of the crypto hostility we've seen out of Washington for the last 4 years, and really a policy-led rebirth of this industry, the excitement is palatable. It's really great. And there's so much happening across the spectrum, not just in digital assets, tokenized deposits, stable coins. We're seeing TradFi now come into the space in a very big way. It's really happening all around.
You actually mentioned some things that I'd love to double click on, the stable coins versus deposit tokens. You know, as we are in the midst of the institution of the Genius Act, which would impact the stable coins, the market infrastructure bill, who's going to be custodying these assets from the financial institution side of the house. Uphold recently just announced that they're launching a direct deposit payment feature where you can take your payroll and have it directly deposited into your Uphold account. I'm thinking, well, deposit tokens are coming into the fold. Is that the last leg of the mile for stablecoins? What are your thoughts?
So Ray, you began that with a statement I actually want to come back on. You said stablecoins versus tokenized deposits. I truly believe the future is going to be an all of the above future. We are going to have stable coins. We are going to have dollar-based, yen-based, euro-based, pound-based. We are going to have a CBDC. We're going to have a digital euro, a digital yen. We may have others. We're going to have tokenized deposits. So the future is going to be all the above. The digital future is going to be as complex as was the analog past in terms of ways to hold value, ways to store value, ways to transfer value.
If you have a milkshake, and I have a milkshake, and I have a straw, there it is. That's a straw. See? You're watching. And my straw reaches across the room and starts to drink your milkshake. I drink your milkshake. I drink it up.
And society always goes through periods of expansion and contraction. We're in the expansion stage right now. So there are going to be more interesting, novel, new approaches to a future of digital networks before a consolidation. So when I look around, I see so many L1s. I don't really see that reducing. I see more right now. I see more stable coins being launched, and I see TradFi now coming into the space along with the new entrants. So I think we're in one of the most exciting times, and I think this period is going to run for quite some time before we may see some consolidation take place.
Now, in order for this to obviously take place, we're going to need to see those regulations come into the fold. Do you think we're going to see the Genius Act and the Market Infrastructure Bill passed in the second half of this year? What are your thoughts?
So I think we're going to see the Genius Bill, which for everybody's information is a stablecoin licensing measure. I think we're going to see that soon. I think we'll see that signed by the end of the summer. And the reason I say that is actually, sadly, not so much because of digital innovation, but because the United States needs to see more demand for U.S. Treasuries. And stablecoins, they're estimating, could hold anywhere as much as $4 to $6 trillion of U.S. Treasuries in the next several years. So I think stablecoins will pass. I think market structure is a more complicated measure, but the bills that have been introduced are getting better and better. We're getting closer and closer, and we're building consensus. So an issue, say, for example, just last year that was controversial as whether the CFTC, my former agency, would have authority over spot markets for digital commodities, is now there's bipartisan support for that. Yeah. So this is really, it's starting to take hold. I'm very optimistic that we might have a market structure bill by the end of 2025, if not in the first quarter of 2026.
Yeah. Okay, we can wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, it would be sooner would be better. Yeah. But look, there's so much going on in Washington right now. It's amazing. What's amazing is that stablecoin legislation is ahead of the tax bill, but right behind it will be the tax bill before they'll turn to market structure.
You would think that the tax bill would be passed first because the government wants to get that money.
Right. You would think so, but you know what? Our government depends more on debt issuance than it does on tax collection. So it makes sense that they're going to do a bill where they'll be able to sell treasuries to stablecoin companies before they get on to collecting taxes from you and me.
Jesus Christ. That's Jason Bourne.
Now let's talk about the supervision of this new and emerging asset class. Is it going to be the CFTC? Is it going to be the SEC? I had the opportunity to brush elbows with your son Luke at the Wharton-hosted Accelerator event at the Penn Club about a month ago, where Wharton hosted a very exclusive and I'd say a very tasteful event. Anyways, Luke mentioned across the table when we were having lunch that I asked him, what are your thoughts, knowing that you're the son of the former CFTC chairman, is the CFTC going to merge with the SEC? We heard at the Ondo Summit that could be the case up on stage. What are your thoughts?
So,
and Luke is, by the way, is a wonderful son, a human being. You did very well. You and your lovely wife did exceptional.
Thank you. Well, Luke is quickly stealing the baton from me in terms of digital assets. He's a senior manager at Accenture, focused on the digital asset side of the business. And Luke probably has heard me say this 100 times, that there is no way those two agencies are going to be merged. And maybe I'm going to betray a little bit of the cynicism that comes from 5 years in the center of Washington politics, but the reason they won't be merged is because they report to separate committees in the House and the Senate. CFTC reports to the Ag committees, the SEC reports to the Banking Committee and the House Financial Services Committee. And those committees, and again, forgive my cynicism, they collect campaign contributions from participants in those industries. There's no way one of those committees' oversight is going to give up this industry to another committee. It's all about congressional politics. It's not about the agency. Now, those two agencies, I'll give you a less cynical answer. Our founders of this country believed in competition amongst parts of the government. They felt our liberties were safest when those agencies competed with each other. And I truly believe that the competition between the CFTC and the SEC has made both agencies better. In 2017, under Trump 45, we actually took a look at merging the two agencies. And we approached it the way a venture capital firm or investment bank would consider a merger. We calculated the synergies that would come from merging them. And what we found was a merge of the two agencies would produce savings of $9 million. The government has spent $9 million in the last 5 minutes while we've been spending here. $9 million of savings is small potatoes. And yet, had we merged them to save those $9 million, we would have had Gary Gensler running the combined CFTC and SEC for the last 4 years, which would have been the death of Bitcoin futures, which the CFTC started. The CFTC was the innovator in the digital space amongst America's alphabet soup of agencies, and we don't want to lose that innovative edge. So I'm personally not in favor of merging. It wouldn't yield much savings. We would have lost a lot of dynamism, and after all, at the end of the day, those congressional committees are never going to give up that authority. So I think it's just not going to happen, and I think we're better off that it doesn't happen.
Thank you for the long-winded answer, and I appreciate that. With the launch of these stablecoins, going back to stablecoins, by Circle or Ripple Labs, who's present here with their RLUSD, what are your thoughts on the longevity or the survival of the U.S. dollar? Some people think that the dollar is going to lose its strength because the petrodollar is losing its reign within the global ecosystem. What are your thoughts on the evolution of the dollar with the evolution of stablecoins or the deposit tokens?
So, Ray, there's no question that our political class in Washington have really taken steps to undermine the dollar. Their unwillingness to give up the kind of spending they do and the profligacy, and it's a bipartisan issue. Both parties spend like drunken sailors, and they've diminished the purchasing power of the dollar. But to unseat a reserve currency, you've got to replace it with something. And so far, the world hasn't found something to replace the dollar with. And there are elements of that, perhaps building on the horizon. Certainly the BRICS nations. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, have proposed a rival currency. And in different utterances, they've said it would be based on gold, it would be based on Bitcoin perhaps, or maybe some combination of the two. I think that's part of the reason why you're seeing the United States reshore gold. The Trump administration is concerned about challenges to the dollar. They are trying to cut costs. That's what the whole Doge initiative has been. Unfortunately, Congress doesn't seem to be able to make those cuts into legislative reality. But the Trump administration is focused on this, whether it's warehousing gold or creating a Bitcoin reserve and creating stockpiles of other digital currencies. So they're very aware that we need to rebalance the dollar as the world reserve currency. And we as a population of citizens have to vote for representatives that are willing to cut and not keep spending.
Before I let you go up on stage, would you be willing to share with those in the audience that are unable to make it what you might be discussing on stage, sir?
So I'm going to really expand on this issue of how do we make sure the dollar remains the world's reserve currency, and what are the role that important digital assets like XRP and like stablecoins based on XRP can do to enhance that. So for folks that are out here, come on in and listen to what I got to say.
You heard that, folks. Get in this room so you can be around the likes of living legends like Jay Christopher Giancarlo here. Jay, thank you for sharing your time with me, sir.
My pleasure, Ray. Good to be with you. See you again next year.
Absolutely. And Luke, you better join us too, sir.
Luke, you're in.